Hello, this is Steve Ramona, your host for Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I want to thank our sponsors, Infone, and with Infone, you can place your business on everybody's cell phone, turn their business into a web app, and with a click of a button, they'll have access to you 24/7. And also Pantheon.fm. Have you ever thought about monetizing and taking your podcast to the next level? Well, Pantheon can do that. Let us show you how. Reach out to Steve Ramona, the host, at infone.co/SR1, and I will go over with you how you can make your podcast really stand out. Let's enjoy the show. Thanks again, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I almost said church, because that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit, faith, but also about business. And this is your host, Steve Ramona. And leadership is important, whether it's church, business, nonprofit. It's so powerful. And I'm ecstatic to have this guest on, because she's all about leadership and teaching people to be better leaders, which I think if more people did that, this world would be in a better place. Nicole, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Steve. I'm so excited to be here.
Give me some background. Why leadership?
Well, we all listen to John Maxwell, of course, and, leaders have the power to absolutely transform people's lives. So I think that we all are capable of influence and leadership. Steve, I understand that some people are born and they are, more charismatic, and some of their just natural gifts lean them in towards, leadership and leadership roles. But Steve, every single person can learn how to lead. They can learn how to get better. And if we're in the people business, if we're in the serving business, then we must learn how to be the kind of leaders that can actually make change. And, that's why I love your podcast, is if we can learn how to lead like Jesus, if we can learn how to be the level 5 leader that Jim Collins talks about in his book, Good to Great, we cannot lead just good churches and good organizations, but we can lead great organizations. And so leadership is so important, because the people that are in our organizations, our employees, our customers, our clients, the people that are in our church, they absolutely deserve to be led well. And it is our responsibility to be leaders that lead so well, because people deserve it. God deserves it, and people deserve it. It's so important.
You just came up with a new title for a podcast. Be a servant leader. I'm going to write that down.
It's a good podcast.
Yeah, it would be. There's my ums. How important is this personally and professionally?
To me?
To be a leader?
To be a leader? Well, John Maxwell says, everyone gets better when the leader gets better. And, so it's incredibly important. We can't do a lot about other people. We can't control that, but we can always be learning and growing in our own lives. And, Steve, when I think about leadership, I think about Billy Graham. I think about Mother Teresa. I think about Martin Luther King Jr. Can you imagine, Steve, if Billy Graham would have known the people around the world he was called to lead to Christ and decided not to go? Can you imagine if Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. would have known the impact his dream would have had during the civil rights movement, but kept that dream all to himself? Can you imagine what Mother Teresa, if she would have known the poor that she was called to feed in Calcutta, but decided to only feed herself? And so if God has placed a dream inside of our heart, if he has placed a passion inside of us, we absolutely must grow, not because we need to, become more influential or more successful. It's not about us. It's about the mission that we are on. It's about the people that are on the other end of us getting better, of us growing, as of actually mobilizing, how I would say, our mission and our leadership.
I love what you just said, because you're telling people, whatever that is, Mother Teresa or Steve Ramona or Nicole, you have a mission. It might be 10 people or 10 million, but move forward with that. When the door opens, open that door of leadership. That's so well said. When you work with your clients, coaching and leadership, does it spill over into personal, and does it help their personal life?
Absolutely. Steve, one of the things that I help leaders realize is we all have different stages. We all have a stage. And sometimes we think when I get on that big stage and that big stadium, that's when I know I will have made it. No, I think that the greatest stages that we are on is sometimes the stage at our kitchen table. That
Mhm.
the stage when we're putting our children to bed at night, the stage when we're sitting next to our coworker in the cubicle, the stage where we're leading a staff meeting. And so if we have the mentality that who we are and what our mission is impacts every single person we come into contact with, then we begin to be the same person at home, at church, and our company, when we're doing a podcast, when we're leading a sales meeting at work. And so once you get this revelation that the leadership that's on your life, the mission that's in your heart impacts every single person you come into contact with, you begin to live your life as if it matters all the time, not just when you get on the big stages, not just when you get on the really important podcast like your podcast, Steve. You know that your mission matters and the decisions you make have such an impact no matter where you're at.
No, it's I like that. And what is a common mistake leaders make that you have to work with? So the audience can kind of, oh, I do that. I need to work on that.
Yeah. So I teach leaders that, so I've developed a mobilization model, and I go into churches and I go into business, and I have a model that's broken up into 4 phases where I teach them how to mobilize or get their mission on the move. How do we execute the vision? And a big mistake I see leaders make when they're trying to mobilize or engage a team to get something done is they focus on what they want people to do. They focus on the training, they focus on the skills, right? They focus on the quota, but they don't focus on making sure that every single person in their church or on their team is committed first and foremost to the mission and to the purpose of the organization. A lot of organizations, Steve, might have a mission on a wall, might have their mission written in an employee handbook or a new members class. But I always ask leaders, does the mission of your organization live on the wall, or does it live in the hearts and lives of your team? And so that's the biggest mistake that I see leaders make is they'll have meetings, staff meetings, trainings, one-on-ones with their people, and they don't start with why. So I can give you this example, Steve. So like, let's say you have two salespeople, right? They both work for a life insurance company, right? They've got to sell life insurance. One employee wakes up, he doesn't want to go to work. He's dreading his job. He's not making the kind of money he wants to make. He's got to meet his monthly quota. He gets up, he goes to work. He's got to do the cold calls. He's got to follow up with his warm leads, but he doesn't really care that much because he's just selling life insurance. But Steve, another sales rep wakes up on Monday morning and they cannot wait to go to work. Cannot wait. Exact same job. But this one, let's call him Josh, cannot wait to go to work. Why? Well, Josh's boss meets with him each and every single week. And last week, Josh's boss met with him and he said, Josh, I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you do for our company. There was a young mom who unfortunately her husband died tragically in a car accident. And if you hadn't sold this family life insurance, this mom with her 3 children wouldn't know how to pay her mortgage or where their next meal was going to where they were going to be able to buy their next meal. And so 2 employees working for 2 different companies for 2 different bosses, one knows what he has to do, the other knows why he's doing it. Which one, Steve, do you think is going to be more motivated to go to work, is going to sell more life insurance policies, and ultimately have a greater impact and make the company more money?
Yeah, the deeper,
Gallup did this.
yeah. Go ahead.
Gallup did this study, Steve, and they found that employees that are engaged in a company can affect profitability by as much as 23%. 23% increase in profitability just by engaging your employees, by engaging your team. And the number one thing that I teach leaders how to do to engage their team is connect people to the purpose and mission of the company every single day. We need to talk about why we exist and who, like this mom who tragically lost her husband, is being impacted because of the work that we're doing in our company.
I love the what is on the outside, the why is on the inside. The why will get you through the tough times and celebrate the good times. That's so well said. And I was just going to ask you the impact. What have you seen that, a company you've worked with or a church you've worked with? What kind of impact have you done working with them on this?
Yeah, so I do work with organizations and churches. I'll say one of my favorite churches that I've worked with is a church called New Life Church. It's in Hydro, Oklahoma. So Hydro, Oklahoma is a town of about 1,000 people. So we planted this church 2 years ago, Steve. And the senior pastors are absolutely committed to reaching people far from God. And they planted their church and have been using the mobilization model that I talk about, that I have for churches and businesses. Obviously, there's some things that are different in both, but the mobilization model can be applied to both. And they're using this model. And one of the things that they're seeing is the vision becoming so clear and people becoming so passionate about the mission and vision of the church that in 2 years, Steve, they are in the top 3% of all churches in America. 2 years ago, they planted this church in a town of 1,000 people. Steve, they have 3 services. They've seen over 140 people give their life to Christ. The church has over 300 people. Most churches in America, 95% of churches in America, Steve, do not get above 100 people, and really above 70. And so what that shows is that if we can get every single person in the church passionate about the one thing, Jesus said he came to seek and save the lost, and that the work the Father sent him to do, that he is sending us to do. And so in this church, we don't have a 4-step growth track. We don't have a lot of programs. We do Sundays with kids church worship and the guest experience, and we do small groups. And then we have a Get Connected class each and every single Sunday, one class where we get people to commit to the Great Commission and to serving on Sundays and being in a small group. And that alone, Steve, has transformed this church. So that's just an example. One of my clients she's a Christian. She leads the number 2 company in the world, but number 1 company in the States that's a women-owned tech company. So she develops custom apps for mission-driven leaders to get their products and their services to companies faster, to their clients faster. So like she helped this one fitness influencer go from making like $80,000 a month to $1.2 million. So I'm working with Amanda. She's done really well, but she wants her company to scale. She wants her company to grow. And so she's brought me in to help make sure that all of her employees that are on 4 different continents are all engaged and passionate and on the same page for her company. Patrick Lencioni says this, Steve. He says, if you can get everyone in the organization rowing in the same direction, you can dominate in any industry, against any competition, in any market, and at any time. And so that's the greatest thing that I do for churches and organizations, is get every single person aligned and committed and rowing in the same direction. And when they do that, it's a game changer.
Wow, that's powerful. I like that, what he just said, because you're right. Anything, a team, sports team, same thing, all for the same cause. It works well. What are you're looking for companies that scale, right? Grow and scale are 2 different things, but you're looking for companies that scale. Explain that.
I'm looking for companies. I won't work with a leader who doesn't have a mission that matters. The leader must actually care. Steve, there's a lot of companies that make a lot of money, and that's great, but I'm interested in working with companies that, yes, they want to make a lot of money. Okay, I'm a capitalist, but I want to work with organizations where the leader actually cares. And if the leader cares about a company, we don't want to just grow a little bit. We want to scale, and the scale happens when we get everyone aligned around the vision, and when we put systems and structures in place so that it can grow exponentially. And so that's the biggest difference. I think a lot of times we talk about little tiny improvements that we can make here and there, that we can see a little bit of a return. But if we're going to scale our organization, and we need to, because we need to increase our profits and our impact, then we've got to really think about what got us here won't get us there. And everything about our company has to be transformed.
I love that. I'm writing that down. That's perfect, because profits do lead to impact. If you make no profit, you can't impact anything. World,
That's right.
people, nothing. Yeah, and that's so well said. Before I forget, let's do a shout out. How can they get a hold of you? Lift gives us some great nuggets here. How can people reach you?
So on all social media, it's connected with Nicole. So LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok. My website is connectedwithnicole.com. And something I have for your viewers, Steve, is if they text lead to 33777, I'm going to send them an article that was done by Daniel Goleman for Harvard Business Review. And it's about leadership that gets results. Steve, it is the most important article that you can read on leadership. So if they'll text that to the 33777, I'll send that to them along with an assessment. And that's the number one, Steve, my passion. I want people to be able to get in touch with me and, do a free strategy call. But my heart and my passion is to serve leaders, is to equip them, is to add value to them. And I promise you, if you read this article, if you take this assessment, it'll be one of the greatest tools that you have in your organization to be the kind of leader that gets results.
Listeners, there you go. So I'm going to add to that. She sent you a free gift. I'm going to send you a $20 Amazon gift card to the first 4 people that reach out to Nicole. Mention this podcast by name, either one, but make sure you talk about the podcast. That's how you heard about her. And I'll send you $20. Just all you got to do is reach out. You're not going to hire her. Just call her, connect her, email, whatever way you want to connect. Mention the podcast. And I want to add to that because leadership is the key. Servant leadership is missing in this world. If me and you can change the little world, everybody else can change. This world will be a better place. I believe that 100%. How's this work for nonprofits?
Well, so nonprofits, even if we're not in the business of making a lot of money, we are in the business of making a lot of impact, and it takes money to do that. So for nonprofits, for-profits and nonprofits, Steve, to me, both have missions. And so a lot of times we think about only nonprofits have mission that matters. No, for-profit companies absolutely have missions that matter as well. And so the mobilization model that I've developed works equally powerfully in both companies.
And so nonprofit, you'd work with the upper staff, also the volunteers as well.
Yeah. So in a nonprofit or in a church, I'm working with the senior team, right? So I'm coaching and consulting the CEO, the senior pastor, the president, and then I'm working with their executive team. I'm working with, in a church, their top 100 volunteers, in a nonprofit, their top 50 to 75 employees. It depends on the needs of the organization. One of the things that I teach in my mobilization model is the 6 meetings that you need to have each and every single month and quarter. And I teach leaders who to do that with and what you need to do in each of those meetings to align every single person from you to your senior staff, to your key volunteers, to all of your employees, and to all the members of your church. And so I work with leaders to help see change happen in each and every single one of those meetings and with all of those people.
The struggle with leadership is the person that doesn't follow the mission. How do you teach and consult leaders about that? You've got XYZ person, they just don't want to follow the mission. How do you handle that?
Are you talking about like the president or the senior pastor
or no, I'm talking about maybe the volunteers. Maybe they have a volunteer in a church, or they've got sales, like the story you just told about 2 salespeople. You get the salesperson wakes up on Monday and says, I'm just doing a job, and they don't want to go from what to why. They're like fighting that. How do you help that?
So Steve, everyone might not agree with what I'm about to say. But when I work with organizations and I hear the leader say that they've got a problem with most of their people, right? Their church or their staff or their employees don't want to come to work. They aren't engaged. A lot of times we want to blame the people. We want to say, well, they just don't care. They are just lazy. No. If most of the people in our organization, on our team, are not engaged, they don't care, the common denominator is you. So I tell leaders, it must be, how passionate are you about the people that you're serving? Are you just concerned about the paycheck and about the bottom line and about the numbers, or do you actually care about the people that your company is called to serve. So that's number one. And then let's say, Steve, that their company, their church, most of their staff, most of their organization is bought in and they're committed and they're fired up, but you've got the one or two that aren't. Well, so then obviously you have to let them go. If people aren't committed to the mission, and if they aren't committed to the culture, and if they aren't willing to be held accountable to what they need to get what they need to do to get it done, then you need to fire fast. You need to remove people from team as quickly as possible. The second phase in the mobilization model is you must create a culture that's contagious. So culture is so powerful, Steve. We get what we tolerate and we get what we celebrate. And if leaders are doing one-on-one meetings with their senior team each and every single week, if they're doing leadership meetings with their team each and every single week, if they're doing meetings with all of their employees or all of their volunteers once a month, and they're celebrating mission and they're celebrating people who are living out the values of the organization, if they're highlighting people that are making the sales happen, that are preaching the gospel, that are serving on Sundays, that are in a small group, that culture is so contagious. But the leader must be so strategic, not every once in a while, but systematically, they must be so strategic about how they're talking about the mission, the culture, and the strategy. And if they'll do that, and they've got one or two people that aren't drinking the Kool-Aid or buying into it, then they've got to let them go. It's impossible. You have to not tolerate people. And you don't have to follow me. You don't have to be a part of our organization. John Wooden has this famous quote that you're right. He's the UCLA basketball coach. Mm-hmm. Whenever he'd have new players come onto his team, he would say, listen, there's a lot of ways to tie your shoe. But here at UCLA, if you're going to be on our team, we're going to teach you exactly how to tie your shoe, because how you tie your shoe can make or break a game. If your laces get undone, if your socks aren't put on right and it causes you to have a blister, it can cause you to slip, to not make the shot. And he said, so you don't have to tie your shoes this way. There's a lot of other organizations that you can be a part of, a lot of other teams that you can play for. But if you're going to play for UCLA, we're going to teach you exactly how to tie your shoes. And that's what we have to be committed to as leaders, is we have to be committed to our mission and so clear about the culture that we want to see. This is how we tie our shoes. Here at our company, we're servant leaders. Here at our company, we want to deliver happiness, like Tony Shea would say. Here at our company, we want to deliver wow. Here at our church, kids' church is just as important as big church. We have to be so clear about our mission and our culture. And then we have to not tolerate people that aren't on board with us.
I love that.
Even if they're talented, Steve, even if they're making the sales numbers, even if they're the most anointed worship leader you've ever seen, right? Put Whitney Houston to shame. Okay. If they are not our culture and they do not care about the mission of our organization, then they have got to go be successful somewhere else, but not here.
They'll poison the whole group. That's what happens. Right. The bad apple in the bush. And I love the John Wooden comment. And listeners out there, there's a YouTube video that John Wooden shows the players how to put their socks on properly. And that's a man that is one of the best. He's probably the best basketball coach ever. And people are like, yeah, that's so just minimal. No, to him, it's not. Because you take all these minimal mistakes that lead to a huge mistake, a lost championship, which is, you can go down the rabbit hole with that. We've run out of time. You are a blessing. You are amazing. I want to thank you for taking the time to be on this show. It's my pleasure, and my listeners are going to be excited to reach out to you and get a $20 Amazon gift card and get a free gift. I'm going to text today and get it myself, because I'm excited, because anything I learn about leadership is going to help me grow and help you grow out there, listeners. So one more thing, can you give my audience a piece of advice through your journey that can help them in their journey of life?
Piece of advice from my journey. Steve, here's what I'll say. Life doesn't always look like how we want it to. The dream that we started off having in our heart, we know that, I think we all know that we're going to go through hard times. Maybe it's a divorce, maybe it's bankruptcy, maybe the company isn't growing like we thought. Maybe we've been, pastoring for 10 years and we're not able to get our church above 100 people and make the difference. we're in this wilderness, so to speak, and we haven't come into the promised land. Steve, I've been in ministry, worked with over 100 teams and organizations for almost 20 years now. And I have had some unexpected hard things happen in my life. 8 years ago, I had panic attacks. I was suicidal. 4 years ago, I lost my marriage. And those were devastating things that happened to me. And I have people say, Nicole, like, how did you get up? How did you keep going? Like, why are you still working with churches and organizations? And here's my answer, Steve. I say, when I gave my life to Christ at 19 years old, I gave my whole life. When I committed my life to the Great Commission, to plundering hell and populating heaven, I did it when I was 19, and I can't take it back. And so my life has not looked like how I thought it was going to look. But listen, Steve, as long as there's one more person out there that does not know Christ, as long as there is one person out there that has not heard the beautiful, wonderful, good news of the gospel, I am going to keep going. Because the last thing that the worst thing to happen is for me to let something bad that's happened in my life stop me from giving them one of the best things, the best thing that can ever happen in their life. There's this hymn, Steve, that if you opened up my heart, this would be in the center of it. And it goes like this: when I enter that beautiful place, far removed from her sorrow and care, I want to hear somebody tell me, Nicole, it was you that invited me here. When at home in those mansions in heaven and the saved of all nations appear, I want to hear somebody tell me it was you that invited me here. To our Savior alone be the glory, whose spirit the witness did bear, yet I might not have heard the glad tidings had you not invited me here. And so that mission of reaching one more person for Christ is why I get up each and every single day. It's why I work with churches, but it's why I work with Christian business leaders and empower them to transform their workplace into a mission field. I'll never do anything else, Steve, with the whole rest of my life. Pay me, don't pay me, it does not matter. For the rest of my life, I'm going to live to reach that one more person for Christ. So that's what motivates me. And I think as leaders, as long as we keep the mission and why we exist, the purpose of our lives front and center, put a picture up of that person that you're going to reach, why your organization exists, why your church exists. And you look at that person each and every single day and you say, I will not stop until I go reach them.